Hi, I'm Brian McElligott, and I'm a partner in the technology department in Mason Hayes and Curran, and also the head of the artificial intelligence practice. Day to day, what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of work with clients who are preparing for the onboarding of the AI Act, and that is a lot about threshold analysis, understanding what is it that their products and their product roadmap might look like when it's mapped onto the legislation and what compliance looks like. And then also, there's a lot of work going on since even early on this year with helping clients onboard things like generative AI. And so you're dealing with the contractual relationships with the providers, and also that kind of key issue that a lot of people are dealing with now, which is the privacy and security issues in dealing with generative AI. At the moment, we're seeing an awful lot of clients dealing with, let's say, taking in AI in the form of generative AI, iterating on that, producing their own use cases. And not only that then, but dealing with our larger, let's say, multinational clients and their relationships with regulators and their back and forth with regulators. And there's a lot going on in that space right now. Yeah, it's incredibly interesting watching the lobbying and the toing and the froing that's happening at the moment. Just in the last couple of days, a lot has been happening at EU level in Brussels, where high-level talks are taking place trying to resolve the last few issues between the parties, the Council and the Parliament. I do think that it will be signed by the end of the year. I think there's incredible impetus, particularly behind the Spanish presidency, to get this done. I think there are things like the issue of the regulation of foundation models is causing a lot of issues, and there's a lot of lobbying around that. On the other side of the fence, you alluded to there, the 150 people who signed that letter early on in the summer, they're incredibly worried about the power of this technology, and they want, increased regulation. So it's interesting to watch at a kind of micro level what's happening here in the EU, and then at a macro level, you're seeing an awful lot going on from the perspective of what the US is doing, the UK is doing, and how all of these are interacting with one another. Not only that then, on that global level, you're seeing G7 plus arrangements arising, codes of practice, voluntary codes. So there's a lot going on, but I think the one thing that is settled is that the EU AI Act will probably land before the end of 2023. After that, it looks like it probably will be effective by early 2026. Oh, it is incredibly. And you know what? It's an issue we're already seeing with our clients. So we're, let's say, advising clients who are based out of the US, but they still have an incredible market in the EU. And they are, let's say, thinking about what their AI product roadmap is going to look like 18 months, 2 years from now. And they're projecting out, and they're telling us about the use cases. And some of these use cases are kind of falling to be classified as high risk. So we're explaining to them what that means. And what that means is an incredible step change for tech companies in particular, because there's no more of the, spin up an MVP and iterate. Now, if the product is classified as high risk, it must be cleared for the market before going on the market, and be something like the sort of regime you'll see used with medical devices. You have to have your stamp of approval and sending in an EU declaration of conformity. So there's, like you said, they're starting to think long and hard about, well, where will I actually deploy this new technology? Will I just have it in the US? Will I have it in the EU? And I would say it's an ongoing conversation at the moment. I don't think there's any kind of definitive outcomes. The one thing that's incredibly difficult to ignore is a market of 450 million people who are, highly developed consumers. So to say that you will, let's say, avoid the market because of a conformity assessment procedure seems a little short-sighted. I think it's important because the awards themselves recognize, as you said, those people in the Irish AI ecosystem who are doing the incredible work that we're seeing, when we're using things like ChatGPT. So the AI awards don't just recognize the multinationals and the big enterprise applications of artificial intelligence. They also recognize like the PhD student or the master students in the university, the nurse doing something interesting in clinical practice, the SMEs, the startups, everybody in that Irish ecosystem is recognized in the AI awards. And that then for us is incredibly important because a lot of these people are our clients and we want to support that ecosystem. First thing I would say is do not in any way, shape or form allow that to stop you. I think, you have to be incredibly conscious that the business will move forward. I myself spent, a year and a half in-house working in a role in AI fintech, and I understand that tension between compliance and what the business wants to do. And I think that you just have to approach each use case of your technology in a pragmatic fashion. You, at the outset, let's say, of your understanding your product roadmap, is to try to target what are the high-risk areas or the potentially high-risk areas and deal with them in a kind of a pragmatic manner. Remember, the AI Act will land in substance in about 2.5 years, not right now. You have time to prepare, and that's for the very risky pieces. In the meantime, you can be rolling out your technology, which may not be in the high-risk category, and just take a pragmatic, straightforward view of it, and yet balance that kind of regulation piece with the commercial piece.